Hello, my name is Nurfadzilah Nek Kamal. I'm better known as Teacher Dilla. I have been teaching in primary school for 10 years. I teach English Year 1, Year 2 and Year 3. Today I'm going to be talking about something that I have always felt strongly about, which is students' autonomy in the classroom. What do I mean by giving autonomy to students in the classroom, especially when we talk about young learners? Well, the answer is pretty simple and straightforward. It simply means giving them control, giving them choices, and allowing them to make decisions in their own learning. So some people might question, is it wise to allow young learners to make decisions at such early age? But I believe that even though children cannot be expected to be in total control of all aspects of their life, I think that they do need to feel that they have ownership over certain parts of their education in order to help build their confidence. Another reason why it's a good idea to allow more autonomy in your classroom of young learners is because experts have shown that children feel more committed to an activity that they have chosen themselves compared to the activity that have been assigned by the teacher, because it's their choice, so their attention span tend to be longer on it. I would suggest 3 ways for you to start encouraging autonomy in the classroom. Number 1, you can offer choices to your students. For example, they are allowed to choose how they would like to complete a task. It can either be in form of written, it can be performed in form of oral presentation, it can be completed in form of drawings. All depends on their preferences and the suitability, and depends on their choice. Also, students are allowed, especially in my class, my students are allowed to choose whether they want to work in groups, or whether they want to work alone, or whether they want to work in pairs. And to some extent, my students get to choose whether they want to finish their work in class or at home with their parents. Key is to limit the choices. Don't make it too overwhelming. Don't give them many choices. It's also not a good idea. I defeat the purpose. When they get to make their own choices, they get to understand how every part of their decision will influence the outcome. And when they realize that they are directly responsible for the outcome, then it teaches them to be independent and to be better at decision making, and it also teaches them to solve a problem. The second way that you can use in order to help yourself to encourage autonomy in the classroom is by respecting their opinions. When you listen to children's ideas and opinion, we can help them to develop their sense of autonomy, because it demonstrates that they do matter, and it's important for us to hear their input and what is their thoughts about things around them. So it also helps them to understand that adults recognize and understand and respect their abilities. Among a few examples were realized last year. For example, when we did slime last year as one of the project for end of the year program, we did a slime making. We also get pets to be taken care of, and we also did Teachers Award, which is 100% organized and conducted by the students. These are examples of activities that I did with my students that are the product of their own ideas. The method that I use in order to encourage autonomy in my classroom is I give responsibility to my students. I think before you start giving them the responsibility, you need to have a lot of trust in them. You need to be able to let go and not have a total control of everything that they do. So when you give responsibility, like when you allow them to complete a project on their own, or you allow them to make choices, you allow them to do something out of the ordinary, it helps them feel like they are performing an adult responsibility. So it trains them, even if they screw up on the first time, it trains them to be working based on their own decision, and hopefully through time they will learn to get better and better at it. I believe that it's important for teachers to allow students autonomy, because when they make their own choices, we actually train them to be independent, and being independent is a critical skill for children to develop. I believe that the more independence you give to young students, the more they learn from their actions, from their struggles, and from their successes. Plus, everyone has been talking about how we should practice student-centered learning, and I believe that providing options, allowing them to make decisions, is part of 21st century teaching. It's actually an approach that encourages or practices student-centered learning. So, as a conclusion, I think teachers should understand that children make choices all day long. They actually make choices whether we give them the choice or not, because throughout the day they choose whether they want to obey, they want to ignore us, whether they want to be nice to their friends. So they still make choices no matter what, but our job is to provide children with appropriate healthful option, and then we help them to make and accept their choices. We guide them instead of just letting them choose inappropriately. So in this way, we are helping to develop confident, independent children who feel in control of themselves. So don't let them make bad choices, but allow them to make good, informed choices.